Get ready for another episode of the B&B Lawn Care Podcast, a show that helps you stay positive, overcome challenges in your business, and most importantly, help you make more money in your lawn and landscaping business. Here's your host, Blake Albertson.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well today. We're in beautiful Siesta Keys, Florida, at the 2022 Green Industry Hype House, brought to you by l'entrepreneuracademy.com and the Hardscaping Academy. Huge shout out to them. Joined here with Jeremiah Jennings from
Birmingham, Alabama. Growing Green Landscapes.
Brian with
I didn't know which one you wanted.
Brian's Lawn Maintenance.
Look at that Ferrari, everybody.
Metro Detroit, Michigan. Beautiful. That's a 488.
And John Pajak.
That's sweet.
Is he rich, Brian?
Sorry.
That car?
Right. Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Down
Doing well.
Done right. 400 maybe.
Holy crap.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
Depends what model, you know.
Brian's here shirtless.
Yeah.
Trying to get a little tanning action here on our last day at the Green Industry Hype House.
Had a baby, have the dad bod. Funny how that works.
Hey, me too, man.
Welcome to the club, you know.
That's what happens. Well, today,
Trying to tan a little bit.
I have a dad bod and I don't even have a baby.
Yeah, well,
hashtag dad bods.
it's coming. You'll get there.
Dude, we just have so many good conversations here when everybody gets together. I just wanted to kind of press record and hopefully get some value for everybody. Brian, hey, you're the podcast pro. I was made fun of by Naylor and John Pajak and Jason Krill how I shoot to the ads.
Yeah.
Help me out with that.
Well, I mean, we got bills to pay, and the show doesn't run itself with, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. And we always appreciate you guys reciprocating with, any of the sponsors that sponsor the show, man. And I actually like the ads. I love hearing what companies got going on, and I always like learning new things, too. So I don't know if it's an ad that you've played before, or, you never know what you're going to get, right? So it's always fun when you hear a new ad on a podcast because you're like, oh, wow, I've never heard of that product.
Yeah. Heck
so,
yeah.
the internet's an interesting place, man. And I find a lot of stuff on Instagram and on podcasts. So I do check out the products. I don't know. I think they're like a necessary evil. But at the same point, I like hearing about new stuff that can make my life better. So if you get some good ads, man, hit it.
Element is they've got a new mobile phone app, and what this does, it allows me to keep all of my customer contacts right there in the palm of my hand. I can create invoices right there. I can also monitor all of my timesheets for all of my different crews, and really what all of that does, it frees me up to focus on what's really important to me, and that's the work at hand. If you guys are like me, you may be out working on your job sites, whether that's with a maintenance crew, a hardscaping crew, or just doing general construction. It doesn't matter. What does matter is I needed something fast and easy for the entire crew to learn. And that's where this app comes in handy.
Be sure to use my link in the description, 30 days for free, so you guys can check out LMN Grow.
Awesome. Well, how's everybody doing, man? For people that don't know, let's just go down the line real quick. 1 minute, introduce yourselves, tell us what you do.
I am Jeremiah Jennings with Growing Green Landscapes. We have a lawn maintenance company based out of Birmingham, Alabama. We are a residential company mainly. We do some commercial work here and there, but that's what we do full time. And then on the side here, we do the Growing Green Landscapes podcast. We talk about entrepreneurship principles. People really target people that are young in business, no matter what your age. Young in business, how can we help you there? I'm going through that stage right now. I'm going into year 4 full time. So I'm still in the thick of it, going through a lot of the things that a lot of other guys out there are going through. So we like to go through and talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast. We're at Growing Green Landscapes on Instagram.
Wow, that was awesome. That was like soundbite, man. He's got that figured out. I'm thinking, like, how do I introduce myself? I have a YouTube channel called Brian's Lawn Maintenance, a traditional lawn landscape company up in Metro Detroit, Michigan, called Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Beautiful wifey for lifey, Elizabeth Fullerton, Liz. We have a beautiful baby named Emmy Grace. She's 6 months old. So we're doing the family thing. A lot of firsts, a lot of transitions for darn sure. This is our 17th season going into.
Golly,
I know.
crazy.
Snap your fingers and you're there. I literally feel I'm 35 going on 19. I'm just like hanging with all you guys. I'm young. I'm having fun and learning every single day. We do a lot with social media, podcasts, training websites, YouTube, Instagram, just a byproduct of so many great people in the lawn care community, and eternally grateful for all everybody listening in. I'm learning from you guys just as much as you guys learn from us, so very, very grateful and excited to be here at the 22 Green Industry Hype House.
Heck yeah.
And I'm John Pajak with John Pajak Financial Coaching. Basically doing, budgets, break-evens, and bottom lines is the big thing now. But I do have a great company going on back in Northwest Indiana. It's called Turf Tamer Lawn Care, and that's going well. We do applications and fertilizer and weed control applications. So got a really good balance of what the guys need in the green industry. We know what issues they run into, so we can help them solve those problems when they come to my workshops.
Heck yeah. Well, here's what I want to get started off with. Something that I've had troubles with, the last couple of years, had 2 babies, family, house to take care of, personal, a personal life as well as a business and YouTube. I kind of wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on time management and how you guys kind of juggle everything.
I get 3 hours of sleep a night. I promised myself I'm going to get 4 hours because I'm going to just really shoot for the moon on that. But running 2 businesses, it's I always prioritize. God comes first. My family is at the same, just a tick down on the list, but everything else is about serving other people in my world. So I don't know how I find the time or the energy. I feel like I'm just being guided in that way. So I do plan for, I'm going to be home at a certain time so I can spend time and pick up my daughter from, when she gets off the bus.
And you have all those
school.
alarms on your phone, don't you?
I do. I think I started to show you, but, you started talking over me, and I said, okay, that's okay. You don't need to say them. I'll put them back in my pocket.
Put the secret sauce away.
I'm trying to share with you, like, some life coaching, and then you're like, yeah, but then I saw a rabbit down the street, and he ate some Cheerios, and I was like, okay.
Now you got to take the course for $297.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to give you some. I'm like, hey, I'll give you some insight to this, man. We've been friends for a long time, and
I see that your life is a mess.
Yeah, I'm like, because you're asking, like, how do you guys do this? How do you plan all the time? It's like, but why do you have like 15 alarms on your thing? Because I have a schedule.
Well, that's normal if you do snow, but you don't do snow anymore. So now I am concerned,
But I do have a schedule, and what it does is it just keeps me. Maybe I might not do that, whatever's that alarm's going off for at that exact second, because there might be a fire or something that you need to put out. But really, I don't encounter too many fires anymore because it's just routine. So it's, everything's slated. You're going to laugh at me. I mean, I do work out, but it's just not happening for me right now. But, I have those on my phone as reminders, like, hey, you know what? This is the amount of time I have allotted myself to do this. And forgive me, there is a theory that if you give a job, say, a day to do, it will fill that entire time. If you give it 2 hours, it can get done in 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it was Elon Musk that said, like, you give something 3 days to get done, it'll take 3 days.
There's an actual term for this theory, and it starts with a P. It's like the pylon or
Pareto principle and all these different ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, not knowing the name of that principle, it just came to me, something that hit me, and that's how I started to get my time back. By if I am working on, say, we have an appointment, I block that time out. We're done. I move on to the next thing. I don't have to spend every waking hour worrying about that, and that's how I cut up a lot of my time.
So your alarm clock is your schedule?
Sort of. It's like I do have an alarm clock to wake me up. That's usually the hardest one that I have to function on. But all the other ones, they're just reminders. They're little nudges. It's just kind of like somebody coming up to Brian here and be like, hey, don't forget to take your vitamin. Or,
right.
Hey, you know what? We got to get going if we're going to get there on time. So it's along those lines.
Yeah, Brian, I know I ask you all the time, like pumping out podcasts Monday, Wednesday, Friday, no matter what. You've never missed one. You have a family now. You pump out YouTube videos, and you have a lawn care business, which we all know takes a ton of time. And I always ask this, but what are your tips? What do you do?
It's a lot. Number one, I don't want to make it look easy. I don't want to make it look hard. It's just it's a lot of juggling. It's just a lot of blocking and tackling and knowing. I'm a big habits, rituals. Like John said, it's habits and rituals and having rhythm in your life. it's really one thing that I think a lot of people underestimate. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's just something that I do a lot. Is I'm always trying to set myself up for the next day. I feel like a lot of people are kind of approaching their morning, kind of like their foot's off the edge of a cliff and they're falling backwards.
Yeah.
So you wake up in the morning and you wake up late. You wake up late because you're tired. We're all tired in the morning, especially in the summer and the grind. But then you're looking for your clothes. Where are your clothes at? Well, they're in the dryer because you had to wash clothes last night because your clothes are all dirty. Well, now you're an extra 5 minutes behind because you're just running back and forth, and then you have to take the truck out, go to the shop, pick up the trailer, whatever. You don't have any fuel in the truck because you didn't fuel up the night before.
Yep.
5 more minutes behind, no big deal. You didn't pack a breakfast, so you swing by McDonald's. Now you're another 5 minutes behind, and now Now you're tired. Now you're eating garbage, and so now you feel sluggish. And then you get to the shop, and you forgot you didn't sharpen your lawnmower blades. Mm-hmm. What are you now? Another 5 minutes behind, and you just see how it's just those 4 examples. I guarantee you, 99% of us, myself included, have been in this crazy habit, the crazy train, with your business, and you're not setting yourself up for success. Now, those are 4 examples, and it's not even 7:45 yet, right? You didn't fill up your tires, or you never got that ball tire, right, taken care of on your trailer, the leaky one, and then you go to your trailer in the morning, and what do you got? Flat tire. And then you forgot to order the trailer aid, right, or whatever, a little quick jack to jack that thing up. So now instead of it taking you 10 minutes to change that trailer tire, it's now taking you 30, 40 minutes. So one thing that this is just something I've done for a long, long time, is I've really tried to set up the next day. Yep. We don't leave things undone. I learned that from, could have been True Green, could have been, my days as fast food, at the restaurant. You close the restaurant down. You didn't leave dirty pans, dirty dishes, the pizza cutter in the little tray, covered in sauce. You cleaned everything up. You set yourself up the next day for success. And when I worked at True Green, we would top off the truck with the fertilizer, we would make our steaks, little steaks. We'd set those up in the trailer, or I'm sorry, the cab of the truck. And so I think one thing that's really helped me, so I'm not always backpedaling on a lot of things, is figure out what I'm going to be doing the next day and really set myself up for success. In fact, I heard somebody say once that if you don't set yourself up for success the next day and you wake up that next morning and you don't have a calendar or a schedule, you've already lost the day.
Yep.
Because then you're just reactionary.
Right.
And, I don't know about you guys, man, but string enough of those reactionary days together enough, and it just makes you, put you in a bad headspace. And then, so what is that? What did we just talk about? It's habits and rituals.
Yep.
Right. And so for me, we've had to really get good at creating good habits, good rituals, to make sure that the things that we want accomplished get accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used to just fill up the gas in the truck or the trailer just whenever it was empty. When we'd find ourselves in the middle of a lawn and the mower's out of gas, and you go to the trailer and there's no gas in the trailer, and then we have to literally leave the property half finished.
Yeah. We would classify the systems, right? So you have to have a good system. So in the morning, or maybe at night, we fill up at night. All the rigs, all the trucks, everything gets topped off at night. It's systems. The truck, the trailer, the mower, all that mess.
Yep.
Blades get changed out at night. Everything gets done, whether you do it in the morning or at night. You pick your poison, whatever. For me, I just found gas stations are way less busy at 4 o'clock in the afternoon than they are at 7:30 in the morning.
Absolutely.
When I'm trying to fight the power line guys, the asphalt guys, the power wash guys, all the different contractors out there filling up, right?
Yep.
And they got these big trucks. I got a small setup comparatively, and they're getting 100 gallons of diesel, or whatever.
School buses are bad where we are.
School buses, little lady pulls in with a little Jetta, and she's taking up the 2 lanes for the big trucks, the power line or the chipper trucks, and you're like, lady, get out of the diesel pump line. But she has to run inside and get her little 99-cent coffee. So I'm a big systems guy. I wouldn't say we have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you can tell when your life is in chaos and you didn't hit your pace or your stride.
Yep.
Right. You got to hit a good stride to have things hitting on all 8 cylinders. And man, there's a lot of things you got to learn. I'm still learning every day. When your marriage is off, it affects everything that day, or your relationship is off. It affects that day, your attitude.
Yep.
You ever have a fight in the morning with your wife, and then that carries into the business? Then out of nowhere, you just seem to have a bad business day too.
100%.
And I always tell my wife, I'm like, I ain't fighting in the morning. I just won't. I refuse. We're making up. I don't care if we have a fight. We're figuring this out before I leave the door, because I'm not taking this negative mojo out of here into the business and then me to the guys.
Yep.
Because I'm going to be throwing lawnmower blades around. We should have changed these last night, dang it.
Yeah.
Who didn't fill up the gas on the truck, and So long story short, figure out the systems, the habits, the rituals. Do you change your blades at night? Do you fuel up your equipment at night? Like I don't count on Liz to do oil changes on the truck.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a quarterly reminder in my phone that goes off. Doesn't matter where the truck's at, and we go get the oil changed.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a lot. I mean, your whole life is all these little tiny micro decisions and choices.
If you could manage that to where it's not even a decision anymore, it just happens.
Yes.
It streamlines everything, and it's very cool. I do the exact same thing, like prepping the days for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like every night when I go to sleep, that the very first alarm that I have, it's wake, worship, and goals.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean writing the goals. It's just reviewing the goals, making sure that these are prioritized. So I look at it and I go, yep, this is good. I already had it planned in my head. I slept on it.
Sure.
It still sounds good. It still feels good to me. Let's move on.
Yep. Yeah. I just one other thing too is, in business, the Parkinson's law. I think I was just looking that up a minute ago. You said time expands or work expands to fill up the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I've heard somebody say that once too. Like, imagine when you guys are putting a little hot pocket in the microwave, right, for a minute and a half. How much stuff do you get done in that minute and a half? You unloaded the dishwasher. You loaded the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Got the sink all cleaned up. You tidied up the living room really quick, and you put all your shoes by the front door, and you just a minute and a half. But like on a Saturday, I wake up at 9 o'clock. A day off. I wake up at 9. Next thing I know, it's noon. I haven't done a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's noon. I'm gonna lose the day. You snap your fingers. It's 3 o'clock, and I'm like, I didn't get anything done. I had 3 lawns to go cut today, and it's already 3 o'clock. I haven't even left the house because time, work will fill up the allotted time you give it.
Right.
So I just see a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. It's my point was a lot of folks don't know the right levers to pull to get the most amount of reward, and I think a lot of folks are doing all these bunch of little stupid stuff that doesn't really add up, and they're not majoring in the majors. Probably a whole nother podcast for a whole other time, but this is something I've noticed.
I found that with like landscaping jobs too, and like when I tell the guys like, hey, this is gonna be a day and a half mulch job.
Yeah. So how long does it
It'll
take 'em?
always take at least a day and a half
Or 2.
or more.
Yep.
But like if you just said, hey, let's get this, like let's knock it out, and everybody went 110%.
Yeah.
It would probably be done in a day.
But even they don't even have to go 110% if you just have a constant. It's not even slow and steady. It's just the moderate pace.
Yeah.
If you
A little bit of wind up here, guys.
just a bit.
Apologize.
But if you guys are familiar with kind of like with the Hot Pocket example,
Yeah.
the Six Sigma has a example of making toast. How do you make toast? And then you could have a whole thing where it's like, okay, well, you take the bread, you put it in you're making toast for your wife. So you go and you get the bread, and then you got to walk over to the fridge and get the butter, and then you got to get the plate and all this other stuff. And I think Toyota uses this as a model where instead of wasting all the time to move all things over, all the supplies and everything that you would need is right there. So it's incredibly efficient, and like while the toast is actually toasting, you have a couple dishes that you could do real quick. The whole, like, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Time to clean.
Oh,
that's PTSD right there. Fast food days.
You go through all that, and then you're like, all right, we got this all put together. Here's your toast and everything. And then you forgot the most basic question in the beginning was you gave your wife 2 pieces of buttered toast. Your wife wanted 1 piece of toast, and it was rye. That's all. You forgot to find out, even though you're super efficient, and now it's like, oh, yeah, I don't even have to move, and I could get to everything.
Sure.
You forgot to ask what the customer wants.
Yeah.
That's anyway,
fair.
that's kind of it's a little bit of a tangent, but it works.
One that kind of gets me is like when rain is moving through, storms are coming through. We all see like the dark clouds in the sky. I don't know about you guys, but so, like we bend time.
You
Okay,
can finish faster than you ever imagined.
dude, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just me, but maybe you guys can
True.
relate.
Absolutely.
I swear, time bends. We'll cut 12 lawns in an hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's physically impossible.
Yeah.
But you did it.
It's physically impossible, or is it, right?
The numbers don't add up.
That doesn't add up. You're like, it's 9 minutes. What was that, old Corvette or something?
no, that
Yeah.
was that bean I had for lunch. What is that? Is that the
But that
forklift?
but that's another great point. It's like you think you're working hard, and this is a gut check. You know, it's one of those things I constantly got to talk to myself about. There's a little JCB jig lift over here.
Yeah,
Ford
he's been
truck.
lifting up a bunch of stuff.
He's doing something with the condo next door.
Yeah. But
Shout out to JCB. But that's just my point. You know, those storm clouds start rolling through. Let me ask you this: it's 3 o'clock on Friday. Storm clouds are rolling through. You don't want to work Saturday because you're going golfing with your bros. Were you going to go cut those lawns on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. or are you getting those lawns done?
Yeah.
And somehow, like the space-time continuum, I don't know what it is, but you know. And then what happens? You exactly get the last piece of grass blown off the driveway as soon as the rain starts peppering down.
Yes.
Like on the dot. Like you're like, is God like holding the rain back until I'm ready to go? I'm always like, thank you, Jesus. You know. But then the buckets come down. You know, and so I just think like, what if you always had to scrutinize your time? Like you got that rainstorm moving in, and you had 1 hour to get, like you said, John. What normally you're going to give yourself 2, 4, 6, 8 hours to do. What if you only had an hour?
Yeah.
And then what if you like ran at that level of, I don't know what you guys would call it, like importance or priority.
Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting thought. I always think about that. I'm like, how do we get 12 lawns done an hour,
Right.
or whatever, when we didn't even get 12 done by noon?
Yeah, that's kind of what Jason Creel said the other day. He's like, I used to work like for 10 hours, but now I just work for 8, and I'm just constantly reminding myself, like, let's just power through, and then we don't have to work as long.
Yeah, yeah, yep. I don't know, man. It's just there's still mysteries of the universe to me too, you know. So we're learning.
Jeremiah, how do you weigh in on that?
I agree with everything that was said.
Okay.
It's like I concur.
I concur.
Yeah.
You just look so cool.
He's
sitting
calm
there
as
right
cucumber,
now,
man.
I swear. I'm just
What can I
That
say?
beard action.
You got the. I mean, it's just the way the sun's hitting you right now.
I'm ready to watch the video and see what it looks like.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: what efficiencies have you found in your business? Like, what was a bottleneck, and how'd you solve it?
Oh man, a bottleneck. It's a tough question. I think a big one would be, like you said, filling up at night, filling gas. That you save a lot of time by doing that. By doing it the night before.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's you put me on the spot with that.
Well, the biggest thing I heard was like,
We'll come back to him.
if
Yeah.
you go, if your guys go fill up in the morning at the gas station,
Oh,
not
yeah.
only is it busy,
Yeah.
but we're getting coffee,
Exactly.
baby. We're getting donuts.
Do you know- do
We're
you know-
hanging out.
Like I told you this years ago. Like I had guys that we transferred everything to night, and we would just pick one guy per night to go fill up everything. Ideally, we would have an on-site fuel tank that somebody would come and service and top off. But where I'm at, it's not. My rental agreement doesn't allow for it. So the next best thing was to have somebody go out every night, fill up the equipment that we needed, and then I found out there were still inefficiencies because even though everything was filled up, guys are still going to Circle K and Speedway and all the other little places around by us and getting, coffee and junk like the honey buns and all these other things.
Love a honey bun.
Okay.
Is that a quick trip thing?
No, dude, they're like it's like a hostess thing.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
it's
a honey
it's
bun?
I don't know.
You don't know what a honey
Dude,
bun
it's like a
is?
cinnamon roll. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
It's not.
You didn't know what a honey bun is. You didn't know what a hush puppy was at the restaurant for
Yeah,
lunch
cinnamon.
today.
You
Like,
get this with
how do you-
B-dubs, not hush puppies or whatever you're eating. Okay?
So, anyhow.
Relax, all right?
You even know what Oreos are. Like,
Double stuff, baby, you know?
What I ended up doing was it. You look at it and you're like, man, this cost me more money. But what I did was I had a cooler fully stocked with, and I'd find, at first it was just kind of like Gatorade and water.
Yeah.
But then for whoever was working, I'm like, you have access to all this. What's your favorite?
Is that
What's your-
Shelby?
It is a Shelby.
Yeah.
That's it's a Shelby.
Yeah, you heard that
Y'all
little
heard that.
quack right there. But you hear, I would ask, I'm like, Jeremiah, what's your favorite? What do you like to drink in the morning?
Yeah.
And then
That's
it's
awesome.
like, okay, hey, I like these, the Starbucks, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, great, as long as it's something I could store.
yeah,
Sure.
just keep
so,
it all there.
So I would have that in there, and then I had a table right next to that cooler, and it was just filled with all the stuff that they like. So if it was oatmeal cream pies, any of the things that they would go and buy at the
That's
at
awesome.
at the speedways and stuff,
Yeah.
I would have it available for them, and I
Yeah.
didn't charge them.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, think about, and the logic behind that is, yeah, I might spend another $100
Yeah.
a week on, or excuse me, $100 every 2 weeks or something, just to have all these snacks and stuff there for them.
Yeah.
But think about if it's a 2-man crew, and they're there, kind of messing around. Even if it's 15 minutes, it's a half hour of wasted time. Let's just put it simple. Like if you got if they're getting $15 an hour, I mean, you start looking at after day, just at the man-hour rate.
Yep.
It's not just what I'm paying them in wages. It's, hey, you're hauling $120,000 worth of equipment. That's the rig that goes to all these places. That has to be recouped. You're missing out on the time, billable time for me.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, let's get you guys snacked up.
And they're going to appreciate that.
They did, and I got to the point where I was, one of my buddies had a vending machine route, where they got like those triangle sandwiches where it's like they cut it in half and then stack like a 7-Eleven type deal. He was like, "Hey man, if you need me, I could hook you up with sandwiches too." And I'm like, "Perfect." I'm like, "What do you guys like?" One guy really loved their egg salad sandwiches, so
That's awesome.
yeah. But
Egg
anyway,
salad out of a vending machine?
yeah. But the thing is,
Saturday.
he hooked me up because
Don't get that on Monday.
he was my
Friday.
he would give me like everything that was just made.
Okay.
So it's like
That's fair.
bam, and I'm like, dude, thanks. And it didn't really cost me too much more.
Well, that's not only talking about just time and money and efficiency. That's people always ask how can I make my employees happy without only worrying about their wage.
Right.
And that's like employee appreciation. You know.
And I mean, I'll let somebody else jump in on this, but I'll tell you about the whole reward system that we have if you guys are interested in hearing about that. But fire away.
Well, I just wanted to add, I did we're talking about ways to be productive and get things done.
Yeah.
Right. I did a podcast, I don't know, 2 months ago. It was called Stack the Deck in Your Favor. Did you happen to hear that one?
A little bit.
Yeah, I
Yep.
heard that one. Yeah.
Did you like that one?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good one. I just I wrote down things that hit me for like the last 2 weeks before I did the episode of like, what are things Liz and I do and we don't do? And I just was like, look, if somebody else is getting more things done in the same amount, look, we all got 24 hours in a day, right? But like, if you're going grocery shopping and you're mowing the lawn and you're doing your laundry and cleaning your house, and you can get extreme. If you're the one that's taking care of your kids. Like that could be unpopular, but that's fine. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to play with the kids, maybe you don't. But you hire a nanny. But I said, like, why are we getting our own groceries? I'm not a professional grocery getter.
Yeah.
I'm a professional landscaper and contractor. So why am I getting my groceries? I don't know about you guys. I go to Walmart and I'm in there for 2.5 hours.
Looking around for crap.
I have no idea where the salsa is. I don't know where baking powder is. And by the way, I don't know what the difference between baking powder and baking soda is. I'm not a chef.
That's for the later podcast. I'll talk about all about
Okay,
cooking,
you
so
can do the grocery shopping.
Yeah.
But that's my point. I'm not a cleaning person. I don't know the difference between spackle and Windex and Pine Sol. I don't even know. And then I start cleaning something and Liz goes, "You can't put Pine Sol on stainless steel or whatever it is because it'll ruin it." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know that. I don't have the time to learn all the different." So my point is like, how do you get more stuff done? Well, you have to stop doing a bunch of other crap and start focusing on productive time, craft time, your creative time. Like Steve Jobs and all these Elon Musk-esque people. If you ever listen to them or read their stuff, there's
the Shelby's
There's
back.
a Shelby.
Oh gosh, she's
come in
stopping
here.
right in front too.
Let
He's
the
gonna-
girls go.
Oh, I know.
Rip
Pulling
it.
in.
Rip it.
I thought they recognized Brian. Pull on in.
Can I get your autograph, Mr. Fullerton?
That's the Mustang talking?
Yeah.
There you go. But if you listen to like the old stuff from Tim Cook and Steve Jobs, you couldn't interrupt Steve Jobs from like 12 to 3 every day. He had 3 hours per day of creative time. Period. Like isolation. Don't talk to the guy. Now this is a guy that's got back then a 20, 50, $100 billion dollar He's got a couple responsibilities: HR meetings, investor meetings, hiring decisions.
Yep.
A lot of responsibility, but 3 hours a day was what he needed to move the ship forward, right? And so my long story short is that whole episode was like my top 20 things that Liz and I do and don't do. We don't. And here's the thing I said on the podcast: we didn't like make a bunch of money and then hire this stuff out. We hired this stuff out, and it was expensive. I mean, you know what? We recouped it because we were able to go out and do craft time.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, like, That's all I've been doing the last couple years. How do you do podcasts, all the time, or YouTube videos all the time, and this and that? I'm like, because I don't do anything else. I don't know how to go to the grocery store. I haven't been to the grocery. I think I went last week to get some Honey Nut Cheerios. Liz wanted some Honey Nut Cheerios.
It broke your mind, I think.
But I went there and I'm just walking around and I'm like, man, I do not know, and I'm not better than it. No, not at all. It's just I don't know where anything is. I'm not going to be in here for 2 hours, and then take 2 kids later or 3 kids later, and then little Tommy wants a squirt gun. It's $19 there, and then some kid wants honey pies or whatever you guys are talking about, and it's $4 more, and I just spent another $100.
Well, that's one thing Blake was saying.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, here's my social media schedule. Here's my lawn care content, my lawn care business schedule. We work at 32 to 38 hours in the field. I make 3 videos a week. I record about 3 videos that come out. They're all 15 minutes. Let's say it's 45 minutes. I record about an hour and 15 minutes to get that 45 minutes. It takes me about an hour to edit a video. That's 3 hours. So I got like 3 Instagram posts a day, and I got 3 podcasts a week that each take an hour. You add that up, it's about 15, 18 hours. Yeah. Maybe. I say it's my 20-hour a week side job, my side hustle. And I work my lawn care business about 38 to 40 hours a week. A little billing, little calls, little this. So I'm putting in 50, 60 hours a week. By the way, it's 168 hours in a week. I sleep for 40, or not 40, but let's say 60, 70 hours, whatever 7, 8 hours a night is. I only got 60 plus 60. I got 120. I still got 48 hours left. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, I'm always asking myself, I'm not a hero, but I'm asking myself all the time, what is other people doing with that other 48 plus the 20 that they're not doing my second side hustle job?
Yeah.
And you know what? I couldn't tell you who's been in the Super Bowl. I couldn't tell you who's been in the FIFA Cup. I don't know who's in the playoffs. I don't know any of that mess. But man, it's really interesting, like how people can criticize how are you doing so much that you're doing. Yep. And my rebuttal is, hey man, I saw your Facebook last week, bro. You were at the University of Michigan State game. You were there for 2 hours tailgating, 4 hours for the game, 2 hours afterwards to the after party. Then you guys went to some other, you bar crawled or whatever, and then I'm thinking you just lost all Saturday.
And the next morning you're wrecked.
Right. Yeah, you're hungover crazy, and then people are like, well, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, dude, I just don't do that. I don't do what you do.
Yeah. It's not. People put the importance on that instead of what. You know what? We're putting the importance on what we like.
That's it.
And after a while,
it's priorities.
What people, my family, like not my wife and my daughter, they're totally on board. That's part of the cohesiveness. But my father. Love my father. He cannot understand that even in the wintertime, he's like, well, yeah, we could go shooting and we could do this and that. And I'm like, Dad, I will make time for that. But I can't just go willy-nilly on it. He's like, well, I don't understand. Why not? I'm like, because this, for me right now, has a higher priority.
Sure.
I'm like, I want to spend time with my dad. And I make time for my father. You know? But he's just like, well, yeah, I mean, hey, you could just take a week off if you want. And I'm like, I could.
Yeah.
But it's not as important to me to sit down and watch NFL all day.
And by the way, like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Right. Absolutely.
But don't message Brian and say, dude, well you have the 160,000 YouTube subscribers and I don't. But then they've posted like maybe one video in a month.
Yeah. Or you went out to all the football games. By the way, here's the thing. I love sports just like you guys do. I love football. I love hockey. I love the Pistons. I want to go to all this stuff. But I'm delaying the good for the great. Yeah. I'm going to go get a suite, one day. Give me 10, 20 years. I got to get my money right. There's people counting on me. This is Eminem. It's my one shot, my one opportunity. Don't want it to blow, This is the one shop for my lawn care landscaping business. I want to take care of Rob, and Rob wants to take care of a girl or a wife one day. There's important things going on to me watching some moron on TV virtue signal while he's getting paid $12 million. You think I give a crap about A, the game, or B, what that guy thinks?
Yeah.
By the way, like what president's in office? I made money under Obama. I made money under Trump. What does that have to do with anything? Yeah. And if people get so lost in politics that they're so busy, like, what's the tax rate going to be? I don't know. Get some tax deductions. You won't worry about it.
Well, people spent more time going on Facebook, roasting about it and fighting about it when they could have just went to work and made the money, and it would have helped them out a lot better than just complaining about it.
Dude, that's exactly it. And here's one thing I'll say. And these are just hard truths. If you really want to play at the high level, you got to play at the high level. Right, and I just realized there's always a bigger commitment that we can all make, myself included. I'm so behind the 8 ball in life. It's not even funny. That's why I'm trying so hard, because I got a lot of room, a lot of ground to make up. But I heard somebody say once, you go look at the the CEO of Bank of America or a professional organization or Mark Cuban or a lot of these guys, you know what? They all work out. Just so you know, they all work out.
Yeah.
These people have billions of dollars of investments and stocks and everything, and they're under the scrutiny of the SEC and investors and quarterly meet. Do you know that these people, like, they have family, they have responsibilities just like all of us, but they can still find the time to chisel out an hour a day working out? And you think, back to the microwave time, you think when I got 8 hours of free time, I'm going to start working out. It just does not work that way. It doesn't work that way. The CEOs of Bank of America is working out right now, and he's got a gajillion X more responsibilities than anybody listening to this podcast, all combined. All
Dang.
combined. But he can still go work out? So then what are you presented with? You're presented with the truth, right? And there's two things you can do with the truth. You can accept it or you can run from it, but the truth is still the truth, right? And the truth is, if you're not working out, you just don't want to work out. And that's okay. Just be honest. Just be honest.
Do you
That's
think
something that I had to do. I had to be honest.
What'd you do about it? Did you work out?
Do I look like I'm in? It's not a priority. You want to know why? It's not a priority to me.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I like drinking a Coke and I like going to Buffalo Wild Wings. When I get fit, everybody will externally know that it was important to me.
Yeah.
Do you think that people overcomplicate their day-to-day, and that's what bogs them down?
I mean,
let me tell you why I say that real quick.
Sure.
You told me something that really stuck with me yesterday, and you said, I repeatedly asked this to Brian, by the way, because, like, he's always so consistent on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, well, family gets in the way, or life, life happens sometimes.
Sure.
And you said, well, I have 2 or 3 priorities that absolutely have to get done no matter what, as far as working. So that's my question. Do people overcomplicate their day-to-day life?
I think they do. I think they're I've just observed. Frankly, I don't know your life, right? So let me talk about mine. I just realized I was busy myself with a lot of things that didn't really matter. And you know what? It's just interesting. You get a girl, your priorities change, don't they?
Oh yeah.
You get a fiance, your priorities change even more. You get a wife, and you gotta be not a different person, but things change. You get kids, man. I'll tell you what, like the biggest lifestyle culture shock, whatever, to me was having a kid. I'm like, man, I thought I had my priorities aligned.
Your primal instincts kick in, and you're like,
Oh, my
you're
God.
the provider. You got to go knock something out. and
Wait,
I
bring it
wasn't
back
expecting
home.
that, honestly. Like,
Me neither.
I didn't know what it was going to happen, and
Bro, like I literally felt like Neo in the Matrix, like when he jumps into Agent Smith and blows him up, and like the world kind of like cascades around him. That's what I felt when Liz told me that she was pregnant. I was like, holy Jesus, everything changed. And I don't even know how to articulate that, but it's a feeling that I hope everybody experiences once, in your life.
When we found out we were pregnant, I had an extreme sense of calm, and a smile came across my face. And I was like, finally, this is happening.
Well, I had too. I had pure excitement and pure shock and terror.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I had shock, and I went, and I don't know why this was my response, but I had been thinking about building the office in my basement,
okay,
and I just never did it.
sure.
And then the babies were like coming. It was like 7 months in, and I'm like, I have to build this office because I know it'll never get done with kids.
Yep.
And I went to it. Like, I don't know. That was like my nesting thing. Is that what they call it? Like, men have nesting and women have
Most
nesting.
Women do that,
Yeah.
but then men turn into the hyper, like, we got to
Get this figured out.
get this figured out.
Well, okay, so then it goes full circle, right? Again, it goes to the Parkinson's law, if that's what the name of it is. Work, will expand to meet the time you give it.
I think it's Peyton's, but I
Peyton's. Well, yeah, it could be.
it's
Peyton's and Parkinson's.
Get the gist.
Peyton's first name, Parkinson last name, right? But why didn't you build the office out? Why didn't you figure that all out before you? Wouldn't it have made more sense, Blake?
It absolutely would have, man. I think you just think like you're just gonna have time sometime. I'll do it sometime.
Yeah.
Like that's what goes through your mind. Oh, I'll get it done.
I think
Yep.
we could say, like Jeremiah, I'm sure we all feel like we have all the time in the world to get this stuff done.
1,000%. That's the only thing I was gonna add to any of that was, and I catch myself having to do this sometimes, is when you like you said, you don't go to the grocery store anymore. You have your groceries delivered because you're not a professional.
Right.
Let somebody else that's a professional do that.
Yeah.
And you stay home and not do that. The biggest thing that I've learned is don't sit at home, and if you're going to do that, make sure you're producing income producing activities during that time off.
Right.
Don't sit on the couch and take a nap.
Right.
then you might as well just go shop.
100%.
You might as well go shop and learn something at the store from a worker or something. Like, you might as well go do something else. If you're gonna hire something out to save yourself time,
Right.
use that time beneficially.
Yep.
And I've had to personally implement that in my life because I know when there's times I'd be like, I can do it tomorrow. Just give me my groceries. I'm going to sit and take a nap.
Yep.
I'll do the bookkeeping tomorrow, and I just don't want to do it.
Well,
but you can't get caught up in that.
You're 100% right. Like our cleaning lady comes over, and Liz is like hates it because she hates being home when the cleaning person is over. It's just one of those things. But I'm like, I don't find any issue with it because they're professionals. I'm a professional. I don't care. Like, they're just doing their job, babe. They don't care. Like, I cut grass all the time, and they don't leave their house when I mow their lawn.
Watch it through the window.
Yeah, they watch through the window. They wave. I wave. Ain't no big deal. But let's say I can do some landscape job or go do an aeration. And the ladies are over for an hour. It costs me $125. And in an hour, I can go do 3 aerations with a stand-on aerator for $125, $125, $125. So I made $375 gross. Right, I'm netting, whatever,
Right,
$250 on that. In that same hour, the girls are over for $125 an hour cleaning the house. It's just it's just a simple delta. By the way, they're doing a great job. I would first off, I'd be resentful and mad and hate cleaning the house. Like, I wouldn't do a very good job. Liz and I would probably fight 20 minutes into it because you didn't clean it right. Maybe you're just different. But it's like, okay, so why would I not go work? Why would I not go do that or do a coaching call for $249 an hour and help somebody with their life while the cleaning girls are over for $125 an hour, 2 girls for 2 hours, knocking that out? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And one of you guys, one thing I just want to say, because I don't know if it's John or you, Blake, talking about Elon, and people are like, well, SpaceX and Tesla and all this mess, right? I think maybe you're bringing that up.
Yep.
He said, like, if you give somebody like a year to do something, it's going to take them a year to do it, right? And he said he always put on his people, I need this figured out in 2 weeks, right? And when they were building SpaceX, if you ever read the autobiography, actually, it's what's the opposite when somebody else writes it about you?
It's a biography.
It's just a biography.
So there's a biography book of SpaceX and Elon Musk. I forget who wrote it. It's fantastic. It's the best book I've read in the last probably 5 years. But he talked about how the SpaceX would be like on the jet, tarmac, testing out their rocket boosters, and they had like everything there to make adjustments on the tarmac, the pad, right? So this, massive, colossal rocket engine firing the booster, the nozzle, and it would mess up or do whatever it didn't do what it needed to do, and they would fix it there. But like NASA would go back 2 weeks to haul it home, work on it for 6 weeks, 2 weeks to take it back. And it's like, no wonder nothing got done. Yeah. Tesla would go out there and they go, okay, 1 second, we'll call up the factory. It's 5 minutes down the road, or back at home, fix a part, change a part, machine something different, overnight it. They didn't break down camp to go back and oh, it's a failure. They're like, no, we're already here, so we're gonna fix this now. And then they would just quickly they churned out rockets in 4 or 5 years or whatever the story is, 10 years, when other people were doing it in 3-4x that. And so the point is, Elon was nuts. Like people see him now and it's like he's pretty chill and doing like motivational podcasts and he's a guru like everybody else, right? But that is not Elon behind the scenes. He is a tyrant. He's nuts. If you come up to him with less than adequate work or satisfactory work, he's going to crush you. He's crazy behind the scenes, especially that first 10 years when he's investing $300 million. There's stories in there of like they were putting the Tesla together and he would go to some company to design the brakes and they go, we need a working prototype, our budget's $50,000 and we need it in 6 weeks. And they'd go to Detroit and Detroit would say, all right, well, we need $5 million and it's going to take 3 years. And Tesla was like, you got $50,000 in 6 weeks, figure it out. And they go, it's just impossible. And so Tesla would say, fine, we'll do it in-house, we'll figure it out. And in 2.5 weeks, what do they have? Full working brakes, full everything, something that Detroit would take 3 years. And fast forward 10 years, don't quote me, but you look at all the automotive companies added together don't equal Tesla. Because they thought they were in the game until somebody else got in the game. And if you want your paradigm shift, if you want to see get around winners and wealthy people and successful people, it'll expose you, man. It just makes you want to be a better person. That's why I love getting around guys like you guys in this hype house where it goes full circle. Like you get around winners and you realize dude, I need to man up. I need to. That's just how I feel. I love it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Just gets me fired up, brother.
Yeah. That is awesome. And it's kind of like, he went against the grain. Like everybody said, oh no, it's going to take 3 years to do. He's like, no, I want it in 2 weeks. I demand almost excellence, is what you're saying.
Almost unattainableness They're like, nobody's done that before.
Yep.
Right, we're not doing what anybody's done before.
Yep.
And guess what? They've done what nobody's done before. And now BMW, Volkswagen, all these guys are just scrambling to catch up. And they couldn't try if they'd like to because he's 10, 15 years ahead.
I love it.
That's
Because
insane.
when they were kind of like celebrating what they have accomplished and just chilled and on idle, and he's out there freaking working his butt off,
What's that?
Because always remind yourself, remember this, you can put something out there and always improve on it. But if I find that's been an issue with me, like the bottleneck. It was at the beginning of the show we were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest bottleneck I have. My wife is she's very supportive, but she's always critical of me when it comes to myself, because she's like, honey, this is way beyond what anybody else has out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's not just quite right. She's like, stop. You could always fix it later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
That's fair.
And then, people that go through any of my workshops that I do, they get a great product. They get great results out of it. But guess what? By the time this comes out, there's going to be some tweaks again.
Sure.
Because I'm constantly tweaking things and constantly doing it. And that's, sometimes that's why the prices change. And people are like, dude, last year you were doing it for this much, and now you want this? It's like, yeah, you don't understand. It is
It's a lot.
that much better now.
That's awesome.
So,
Jeremiah, we've done all the talking, brother. What have you learned based on that topic? We're all bantering. You're helping the younger crowd, the younger guys and the younger in business too.
Yeah.
Productivity, efficiency. How do you get it all done? What's some of the things that you've learned or discovered or interviewed that have helped you?
Get it all done. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to put into words what all I've learned it's the stuff we hit on all the time. It's the go to the gas station, fill up at night. It's the get your customers in the thing. Don't sit down at night and have to write. This is a big one. I mean, you don't really talk about it much anymore. Don't sit down with a pen and paper every week writing out your list.
Mm-hmm.
Spend 6 hours to put it in a CRM.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Put it all in there. Make your route at the beginning of the spring, and then it's all there for you every single week. You just go in on Sunday nights, you print it off. If you want paper to put in the truck, you're a pen and paper kind of guy, mark it off.
Yep.
Print the sheet, put it in the truck, mark it off, move on. You're not spending, because I did that when I started out in my company. I started out pen and paper, and I would write it all out every Sunday night, and I'd spend 30 minutes or an hour trying to think, which route should I go? Should I go this way, that way?
Yep.
I mean, left, right, I don't know. I was wasting time when just go make the investment to spend the time to get a CRM and put it all in there and do it from there. So that's a small one. I mean, it's a small one, but it's a big one.
As Savannah's pulling at your shirt, come on, hurry up, we got to go to the grocery store.
Exactly. Yeah. Clean the house. We got to get on the floor.
She's like, I'm done cleaning the house. Ready to go grocery shopping? You're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm just messing, bro.
Yeah, I just like listening. I mean, that's honestly.
But man,
I don't know.
I just wish I learned this stuff 10, 15 years ago. For crying out loud.
Just to put this out there too, like anybody that's listening, don't think that like, somebody gave me this advice, and every morning I'm supposed to wake up at 4 a.m. and then I languish for 4 hours journaling and doing all these things. When I say, I have that time list of alarms and things, I don't languish. It's like I get up out of bed. I thank God for everything. I worship, and then I just look over my goals again. That all takes 15 minutes.
Right.
This isn't like some extended, I'm going to church and I'm, saying confession and everything. I do that, Saturday night and Sunday, when I go to services and things. But just remind yourself, it doesn't have to be a long time.
Sure.
You might just say, I'm going to take a half hour and read a book.
Yeah.
It might take, depending on how fast you read, it might take you several days or maybe weeks to read a book.
Right.
But once you get, you could train yourself to read faster.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, I could read a 300-page book within 4 days.
Yep.
And not spend all my time on it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap this up. We're already at 50 minutes, man. This is probably my longest podcast.
Oh, straight up, rock and roll. There you go.
All right, where can everybody find you, John?
John Pajak Financial Coaching. That's on .com, on Facebook, and what else is there?
GreenIndustryPodcast.com.
Oh, yeah, the GreenIndustryPodcast.com is where you can find the Budgets Breaking Into the Bottom Lines workshop. Also available is coaching calls on the Brian Fullerton on the Launchpreneur Academy.
Yes, sir. Discounted rate.
So, Discounted rate.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You get 4 calls, one from Brian Fullerton, Caleb Bauman, John Pajak, myself, and Paul Jameson.
Very
We
cool.
Work together on that. So
Yeah.
You can find us at Growing Green Landscapes on Instagram, Growing Green Landscapes on all major podcast platforms. Putting shows out twice a week.
Brian's on maintenance. Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Tons of great content there. I love podcasting. Blake, thanks for having us on the podcast. This stuff is a lot of fun. I wish I had access to this stuff when I was 17, 18, 19, 20. My gosh, what a world of difference it would have made. Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Brian's on maintenance on YouTube. Brian's on maintenance on Instagram.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys joining in on the podcast. Huge shout out to L'Entrepreneur.Academy.com and the Hardscape Academy.com for the Hype House. All this great content. Total thanks to them. So,
Yeah.
hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening to the B&B Lawn Care Podcast. We hope you got some golden nuggets that you can implement into your lawn and landscaping business. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure and leave us a 5-star review. Connect with us on all social media platforms by searching at BB Lawn Care KC. Keep grinding, keep striping, and stay positive out there, friends.